Overview. Karen M. McManus, a renowned author featured on the New York Times bestseller list, has penned captivating novels such as One of Us is Lying, Two Can Keep a Secret, and One of Us is Next. McManus is recognized for her skill in crafting high-paced, suspenseful murder mysteries that revolve around the lives of adolescents. Employing flashbacks and multiple first-person narrators, she weaves intricate tales of avarice, retribution, and startling familial revelations. Situated on a diminutive, imaginary island off the shores of New England, The Cousins unfolds in contemporary times with intermittent glimpses into the year 1996. This narrative grants readers access to the concealed, dark truths harbored by a prosperous and long-established family. The source material for this manual is the ebook edition, published by the Delacorte Press imprint under the aegis of Random House Children's Books. The narrative of The Cousins revolves around the affluent Story family and the enigma that fractured their bonds 2.5 decades ago. Mildred Story married Abraham Story and resided with him on Gull Cove Island alongside their offspring, Adam, Anders, Allison, and Archer. Following the demise of Abraham, Mildred, in an inexplicable turn of events, estranged herself from her college-age children. Mildred's abrupt disownment was shrouded in mystery, accompanied only by a cryptic missive from her legal representative containing a single sentence: "You know what you did." Fast forward to the contemporary era, and 3 of Mildred's progeny have families of their own. Millie, the offspring of Allison; Aubrey, a descendant of Adam; and Jonah, or JT, the offspring of Anders. Unexpectedly, the grandchildren receive an unusual summons from their grandmother to spend the summer on Gull Cove Island. Against their instincts, they agree, complying with the wishes of their parents. However, upon arrival, they discerned that Mildred wasn't the instigator of the invitation. Her surprise at their presence is evident, and her lawyer is fervently attempting to expel them from the island. Unveiling a startling twist, Jonah is exposed as an imposter dispatched by the genuine JT, who sought to evade a summer on Gull Cove Island. Jonah's objective is revenge, triggered by Anders Story's deceit, which left his family destitute. He is determined to ensure that Anders never inherits any wealth. Millie and Aubrey, both contending with strained relationships with their parents, discover that their uncle Archer, concealed on Gull Cove Island, grapples with alcoholism. The entire Story family bears the scars of the events from 24 years ago, with each member harboring a degree of trauma from the aftermath. Through a sequence of retrospections, the reader is enlightened about Allison's summer of 1996, marked by an unplanned pregnancy following a one-night encounter with a local named Matt Ryan. Unfortunately, Matt, opting not to pursue a relationship with Allison, chose Anders's former girlfriend, Kayla. Despite Allison experiencing a miscarriage, Adam and Anders deemed it necessary to hold Matt accountable for sullying the family's reputation. In a manipulated turn of events, Anders, taking advantage of Matt's inebriated state, convinced him that Kayla was in distress at a beach party. Matt heroically dove in to rescue her, resulting in his tragic drowning. Allison, complicit in covering up his demise, became entangled in the web of deceit. The Story grandchildren unearth a shocking revelation. The individual posing as Mildred is, in fact, Teresa Ryan, Mildred's erstwhile assistant and Matt's mother. Mildred passed away 2 decades and 4 years ago. Collaborating with Donald Camden, Teresa assumed Overview. Karen M. McManus, a renowned author featured on the New York Times bestseller list, has penned captivating novels such as One of Us is Lying, Two Can Keep a Secret, and One of Us is Next. McManus is recognized for her skill in crafting high-paced, suspenseful murder mysteries that revolve around the lives of adolescents. Employing flashbacks and multiple first-person narrators, she weaves intricate tales of avarice, retribution, and startling familial revelations. Situated on a diminutive, imaginary island off the shores of New England, The Cousins unfolds in contemporary times with intermittent glimpses into the year 1996. This narrative grants readers access to the concealed, dark truths harbored by a prosperous and long-established family. The source material for this manual is the ebook edition, published by the Delacorte Press imprint under the aegis of Random House Children's Books. The narrative of The Cousins revolves around the affluent Story family and the enigma that fractured their bonds 2.5 decades ago. Mildred Story married Abraham Story and resided with him on Gull Cove Island alongside their offspring, Adam, Anders, Allison, and Archer. Following the demise of Abraham, Mildred, in an inexplicable turn of events, estranged herself from her college-age children. Mildred's abrupt disownment was shrouded in mystery, accompanied only by a cryptic missive from her legal representative containing a single sentence, "You know what you did." Fast forward to the contemporary era, and 3 of Mildred's progeny have families of their own. Millie, the offspring of Allison; Aubrey, a descendant of Adam; and Jonah, or JT, the offspring of Anders. Unexpectedly, the grandchildren receive an unusual summons from their grandmother to spend the summer on Gull Cove Island. Against their instincts, they agree, complying with the wishes of their parents. However, upon arrival, they discerned that Mildred wasn't the instigator of the invitation. Her surprise at their presence is evident, and her lawyer is fervently attempting to expel them from the island. Unveiling a startling twist, Jonah is exposed as an impostor dispatched by the genuine JT, who sought to evade a summer on Gull Cove Island. Jonah's objective is revenge, triggered by Anders Story's deceit, which left his family destitute. He is determined to ensure that Anders never inherits any wealth. Millie and Aubrey, both contending with strained relationships with their parents, discover that their uncle Archer, concealed on Gull Cove Island, grapples with alcoholism. The entire Story family bears the scars of the events from 24 years ago, with each member harboring a degree of trauma from the aftermath. Through a sequence of retrospections, the reader is enlightened about Allison's summer of 1996, marked by an unplanned pregnancy following a one-night encounter with a local named Matt Ryan. Unfortunately, Matt, opting not to pursue a relationship with Allison, chose Anders's former girlfriend, Kayla. Despite Allison experiencing a miscarriage, Adam and Anders deemed it necessary to hold Matt accountable for sullying the family's reputation. In a manipulated turn of events, Anders, taking advantage of Matt's inebriated state, convinced him that Kayla was in distress at a beach party. Matt heroically dove in to rescue her, resulting in his tragic drowning. Allison, complicit in covering up his demise, became entangled in the web of deceit. The Story grandchildren unearth a shocking revelation. The individual posing as Mildred is, in fact, Teresa Ryan, Mildred's erstwhile assistant and Matt's mother. Mildred passed away 2 decades and 4 years ago. Collaborating with Donald Camden, Teresa assumed Mildred's identity, severed ties with Mildred's offspring to avoid detection, and orchestrated a grand masquerade. Aubrey, however, discerns the absence of Mildred's distinctive birthmark on Mildred's hand, exposing the charade. Driven by a desire for retribution for her son's demise, Teresa, in a vengeful act, sets the Story family residence ablaze. Succumbing to smoke inhalation, she perishes, leaving Aubrey and Archer as the sole survivors. The grim truth emerges that Teresa and Donald squandered the entirety of the Story family's fortune. The once prosperous family is left destitute. In the aftermath, Millie commences a healing journey, forging connections with her mother, while Aubrey finds solace and guidance in the form of her uncle Archer. The Story family, grappling with grief over Mildred's demise, embarks on a path of renewal. Jonah, Millie, and Aubrey, having forged an unbreakable bond, navigate the challenges together. The family grasps the profound impact of forgiveness and the detrimental consequences of a vengeful quest. Jonah receives a cautionary letter from Teresa's collaborator, advising him to shield his parents from the repercussions of Anders's actions. Summary of Chapter 1. Millie's story. Takahashi finds herself at a dinner meeting with her mother, Allison, navigating the delicate strains of their relationship. Millie grapples with the persistent belief that she falls short of her mother's expectations. In the course of their conversation, Allison discloses a surprising development. Millie's affluent grandmother, Mildred Story, whom she is named after, has penned a letter for Millie, despite having maintained no contact with her granddaughter throughout her entire life. Allison recounts her own experience as a college student when Mildred, without warning, dispatched a cryptic message to her and Millie's uncles, stating, "You know what you did." This marked the commencement of a severance, both financial and personal, as Mildred adamantly refused any further interaction with her children. Puzzled by the cryptic nature of her mother's message, Allison remains in the dark about its meaning. Millie, compelled by curiosity, reads Mildred's letter, discovering an unexpected invitation. Mildred expresses a desire to reunite with her estranged grandchildren, and extends an offer for them to work at her resort on Gull Cove Island for the summer. The invitation is extended not only to Millie, but also to her cousins Aubrey and Jonah. Despite harboring childhood fantasies of meeting her grandmother and engaging in extravagant shopping sprees, Millie is resistant to the idea, resenting Mildred's prolonged absence. Allison, eager for a family reunion and sensing a unique opportunity, urges Millie to seize the chance. To sweeten the deal, she promises to gift Millie her cherished diamond necklace, the very same necklace Allison received on her 17th birthday. Torn by conflicting emotions, Millie eventually decides to accept the invitation, marking the beginning of a journey fraught with family complexities and the prospect of unexpected connections. Summary of Chapter 2. Aubrey's story finds herself in an unexpected predicament at her swim meet, finishing nearly last, a result that doesn't faze her as she is consumed by anger toward her swim coach. Unperturbed by the outcome, she boldly declares her departure from swimming for Ashland High, fueled by a desire for retribution against her coach. Her boyfriend Thomas provides a ride home, yet Aubrey conveys that home is the second to last place she wishes to be. Engaged in a group chat with her cousins Millie and Jonah, they discuss plans to rendezvous on the ferry to Gull Cove Island. Millie, grappling with ambivalence about working at the resort over the summer, contrasts with Jonah, who vehemently expresses resentment about being compelled to labor for their estranged grandmother at a minimum wage job instead of attending a science camp. Aubrey, shedding light on her family dynamics, discloses that her father, Adam Story, once the family's golden boy athlete, transformed into a struggling author. Recently, he dropped a bombshell, further unsettling the already complex family dynamics. As she attempts to bid Thomas farewell with a kiss, his evasion perplexes Aubrey, foreshadowing the disarray within her household. Upon returning home, Aubrey's father unravels the aftermath of his revelation, revealing that her mother is taking time to process the information. Although Aubrey harbors a desire to lash out at her father, she chooses silence. Anticipating an escape from the fallout of her father's revelation, she eagerly awaits the departure for the summer, seeking solace on Gull Cove Island with her cousins and hoping for a respite from the turmoil at home. Summary of Chapter 3. Jonah North, dressed as Jonah Story, finds himself in a predicament, stuck in an Uber amidst traffic on the way to catch the ferry bound for Gull Cove Island. Armed with a portfolio containing news clippings, photos, and meticulous notes about the Story family and his supposed cousins, he reflects on his unfamiliarity with these people and his penchant for studying the unknown. Realizing that time is of the essence, Jonah, determined to make the ferry, darts out of the vehicle, sprinting with his bag in hand, and narrowly boarding the vessel just in time. Upon meeting Millie and Aubrey, skepticism lingers in the air as they doubt whether this boy is indeed their cousin, Jonah. Millie in particular quips about not expecting the J. Crew model look, suggesting a disparity between their expectations and Jonah's appearance, which she humorously likens to a constipated gnome. Engaging in conversation, the cousins delve into their family dynamics. Jonah, candidly admitting a lack of closeness with his father Anders, receives a text from a contact saved as JT, inquiring about his progress. The trio discusses their respective experiences with the family, with Aubrey revealing her persistent attempts to contact their grandmother Mildred, and questioning the sudden outreach after years of silence. Millie, keenly observant, remarks on the family's foundation built on secrets, probing Aubrey and Jonah about their concealed truths. Aubrey, although claiming innocence, hints at a hidden reality. Millie, focusing on Jonah, subtly implies awareness of his undisclosed aspects, emphasizing the ubiquity of secrets within the family. Everybody has secrets. The only question is whether you're keeping your own or someone else's. The stage is set for the revelation of concealed truths, and the unraveling of family mysteries on Gull Cove Island. Summary of Chapter 4. As the ferry approaches Gull Cove Island, Millie observes Jonah, noticing how much he has changed over the years and how handsome he has become. The island is bland-looking and flat and unremarkable, but full of tourists. As they leave the ferry and head for the resort, Jonah reveals that he wasn't able to attend science camp because he couldn't afford it. Millie remembers reading about how Jonah's father, Anders, was a financial consultant who was reported for fraud, but all that could be proved was that Uncle Anders gave bad financial advice. A strange old man approaches Millie, mistaking her for her mother, Allison. His granddaughter, Hazel, finds him and introduces herself to the cousins. When she learns that they are related to Mildred, Hazel explains that her grandfather is Dr. Fred Baxter, the former family doctor to the stories. The cousins arrive at Gull Cove Resort, and although they are expecting to meet their summer hire coordinator, Edward Franklin, they learn that he has recently quit. Instead, they meet his replacement, Carson Fine, the head of hospitality for the resort. He brings Mildred to meet them, and Millie takes her in bit by bit, noticing her jewelry and posh, clean-cut, elegant attire. Mildred says very little, but mentions that she will arrange a more fitting time for them to talk. However, Millie believes that Mildred had no idea that they were coming. Analysis Chapters 1 to 4. The initial chapters of the novel skillfully lay the foundation for the intricate tale of the Story family, introducing the enigmatic, glamorous, and tragic elements that surround Millie, Aubrey, and Jonah, referred to as the Story cousins. McManus adeptly places the great mysteries at the forefront, urging readers to ponder the reasons behind Mildred's estrangement from her children and the intriguing dynamics within the Story siblings. A significant focus is placed on Allison, Mildred's sole daughter and Millie's mother, revealing how Mildred's influence has profoundly shaped Allison's life. McManus portrays the enduring impact on Allison's relationships, self-worth, and personality, emphasizing the lasting consequences of Mildred's decisions. Millie's observation of a Mildred story-shaped hole in her mother's life underscores the pivotal role of mother-daughter relationships in a young woman's development. Aubrey's storyline adds a layer of complexity, showcasing her strained relationship with her self-centered father, Adam. Despite idolizing him, Aubrey's perception is shattered by his selfish choices, leading to a newfound sense of conflict. Adam's revelation of an impending child with Aubrey's swim coach becomes a catalyst for her journey of self-discovery, challenging preconceived notions about greatness and prompting Aubrey to uncover her potential. McManus masterfully weaves Jonah North's narrative without revealing his secret in the opening chapters. Cleverly chosen words, such as Jonah's assertion that he doesn't know the people he's about to meet, serve as subtle hints to attentive readers. While the statement may seem like a typical teenage exaggeration, it harbors a literal truth. Jonah is unfamiliar with the Story family, and he is not a genuine member. McManus artfully utilizes these nuances to engage readers while building anticipation for the unfolding twists in the plot. Summary of Chapter 5. 4 days into their stay on Gull Cove Island, Aubrey and Millie find themselves in a state of uncertainty as Mildred remains elusive, providing minimal communication, citing a sudden business trip to Boston. Millie confides in Aubrey, expressing her suspicion that Mildred might not have anticipated their arrival. A lunch invitation from Mildred's lawyer, Donald Camden, follows, extending to Jonah, Millie, and Aubrey. Aubrey, however, grapples with the absence of messages from her boyfriend Thomas, and learns that her parents' inquiries revolve around Mildred rather than her well-being. During the drive to the restaurant, their driver highlights Cuddy Beach, a location with a significant mention in Aubrey's father's novel, symbolizing the point where things took a negative turn for their family. At the lunch meeting, Donald suggests that Mildred, due to her delicate state, cannot host them for the summer. Instead, he proposes alternative employment in a movie set in Boston, framing it as a solution to prevent them from burdening their grandmother. Millie, sensing manipulation, pulls Aubrey aside, expressing her suspicion of a potential bribe. She cautions against trusting Donald, citing his involvement in sending the infamous "You know what you did" message that severed ties between Mildred and her children. The air thickens with uncertainty as the cousins navigate a web of secrets and motivations in their attempt to understand Mildred's intentions and the dynamics at play on Gull Cove Island. Summary of Chapter 6. In the aftermath of their encounter with Donald, Jonah finds himself at the Gull Cove Resort Bar, waiting for Mildred, who is yet to make an appearance. Engaging in conversation with the bartender, Chaz, Jonah orders shrimp linguine. Millie joins him, and together they watch a news report on a financial scandal, attempting to broach the topic of Jonah's father, Anders, dubbed the Bernie Madoff of Rhode Island in the news article. However, Jonah skillfully sidesteps the conversation as Chaz changes the channel. Millie reveals an envelope she received from Donald, encouraging them to reconsider his offer to leave Gull Cove Island for more lucrative jobs on a movie set. The financial incentives are tempting, presenting a significant increase compared to what they would earn at the resort. Brittany, one of the Tauhees, delivers Jonah's food and invites him to join a gathering at the Beach Hangout, a restaurant named Dunes. Succumbing to the allure of the generous employment terms, Jonah starts eating his shrimp linguine, much to Millie's disbelief. Later, Millie and Jonah reunite with Aubrey and Jonah's roommate, engaging in a game of pool. To everyone's surprise, Jonah exhibits exceptional skill, drawing attention to his hidden talents. Seizing the moment when Jonah is distracted, Millie swipes his wallet from his back pocket. When the game concludes, she pulls him outside and confronts him. Millie exposes the truth, revealing that she knows his real name is Jonah North, demanding an explanation for why he is pretending to be her cousin. The air is thick with tension as the secrets surrounding Jonah's identity come to light. Summary of Chapter 7. Millie's recollection of Jonah's childhood allergic reaction to bacon-wrapped shrimp resurfaces, fueling her suspicions about his true identity. Witnessing him devour an entire plate of shrimp linguine without repercussions confirms her doubts. Jonah North confesses the charade, revealing that he struck a deal with the real Jonah story to take his place on Gull Cove Island while keeping the ruse under wraps. Fearful of the repercussions, he implores Millie to keep his secret, emphasizing the financial incentive tied to his silence. The following night, Millie shares Jonah's secret with Aubrey, creating a pact of confidentiality between them. In pursuit of Edward Franklin's contact information, Millie seeks guidance from Carson, the summer hire coordinator, who suggests approaching Chaz, the bartender, as he used to date Edward. Introductions to Teresa, Mildred's steadfast assistant, follow. Teresa extends an invitation from Mildred for the three cousins to brunch at Catmint House upon her return to the island. Additionally, they receive special invitations to the summer gala as Mildred's guests. Teresa encourages the cousins to indulge in shopping sprees at the island's boutiques, charging their purchases to the story account, a prospect that delights Millie, reminiscent of her childhood fantasy of a grand shopping adventure with her grandmother. As secrets unravel, the stage is set for a complex interplay of family dynamics and hidden motives on Gull Cove Island. Analysis Chapters 5 to 7. The initial flashback to the summer of 1996 plunges the reader into a period of mourning within the Story family, following the recent passing of Mildred's husband, Abraham. Amidst the grief, Mildred's determination to organize a grand welcome-home party for her returning college-aged sons suggests a coping mechanism, using busyness to distract from sorrow and uphold the family's expectations. This foreshadows Allison's future endeavor to conceal her news to safeguard the family name, emphasizing the intricate dynamics within the Story family. Ending the chapter with Abraham's mantra, "Family first, always," establishes a code of honor that will be explored throughout the 1996 chapters. Donald's offer to remove the grandchildren from the island introduces him as a potential antagonist. While he attributes it to Mildred's health concerns, Millie correctly suspects an underlying motive. The cryptic nature of the Story family's unwelcome status and the unraveling of a long-standing secret are hinted at during this meeting. Mildred's seemingly generous offer of a shopping spree with her credit card is scrutinized by Millie, who perceives it more as an attempt to maintain appearances than an act of true generosity. Millie's emergence as a fledgling detective is evident at the novel's outset, starting innocently with questions about her cousin's secrets. However, her keen observations, particularly noticing Mildred's surprise at their arrival, led her to fixate on the peculiar circumstances surrounding their presence on the island. The revelation of Jonah impersonating her cousin becomes a pivotal twist, showcasing Millie's role as an investigator. While Jonah initially discloses a partial truth about his motives, the interaction serves as a potent reminder that secrets often have layers, with more to be uncovered as the story unfolds. McManus skillfully uses this revelation to emphasize the complexity of concealed truths and the multifaceted nature of the characters. Summary of Chapter 8. Aubrey and Millie visit a local bakery and debate whether or not to tell anyone about Jonah. Aubrey doesn't mind if Jonah is a forger, admitting that Jonah North is a distant fourth on the list of things she's concerned about. She's more worried about responding to her father's increasingly hostile texts regarding Mildred, the fact that she and Thomas appear to be silently breaking up and spending time with her grandma shortly. She spots a photo of her father as a teenager holding the ugliest painting she's ever seen, for which her grandma won a blue ribbon at the first ever Gull Cove Island Local Artists Competition. At the register, she runs into Hazel, who revives the subject of interviewing the story children. Aubrey obtains her phone number and then calls her father, who is cold and distant. Aubrey understands that her father is punishing her for avoiding him all week, and that when he is displeased, he withholds affection and approval to make his disappointment clear. Adam chastises his daughter for not being more proactive, and Aubrey lashes out, admitting that he impregnated her swim teacher. Aubrey gets up the phone, sobs, and tells Millie that she was the one who introduced her father and swim instructor. Therefore, she feels responsible for ruining their family. Millie and Aubrey commiserate about their problematic parents, with Millie remarking that the Story family is seriously messed up. Aubrey says they should talk to Hazel and give her that interview she's been looking for, and ask them own inquiries about the Story family history. Summary of Chapter 9. Jonah recalls how much money he had in savings before his father placed it all in Anders Story's investment opportunity that was going to double everything they had. Jonah explains that he is much more than just a random JT classmate. He is the son whose family lost everything due to Anders's disastrous investments. Jonah squandered all of his college savings, and he vows to make sure Anders Story remains cut off from his family fortune forever. Millie and Aubrey enter Jonah's dorm room and announce that he will accompany them to meet with Hazel and her grandfather. Jonah is still concerned that Millie and Aubrey would expose him as a forger, but Millie assures him that his secret is safe with them. Jonah, who was determined to raise a commotion in front of Mildred, now understands that he doesn't want to mess things up for Millie and Aubrey, since he is growing fond of them. Millie dodges Hazel's queries by asking her own, what do the people of Gull Cove Island believe happened to their parents and Mildred years ago? Hazel discusses some of the more common stories, including one unpleasant story about incest among the brothers, much to the chagrin and fury of the cousins. When Aubrey says she'd more easily believe they all killed somebody, Dr. Baxter strikes the table with his knee and begins acting confused. Jonah is the only one who observes that Dr. Baxter had clear, alert eyes, until Aubrey says so. Summary of Chapter 10. Millie, under the pretense of inquiring about Donald's job offer for her and her cousins on the movie set, visits his office with a different agenda. She seeks information about the strained relationship between Mildred and her mother. However, Donald firmly refuses, citing ethical and legal boundaries as Mildred's lawyer, emphasizing that violating such confidence would be both morally wrong and illegal. Later, Millie and fellow Towhees gather at Dunes with the hope of encountering Chaz, the bartender, who is also the guitarist for the 80s cover band performing that night. Observing Jonah's flirtatious behavior, Millie grapples with conflicting feelings, acknowledging his attractiveness and the deception of him posing as her cousin, which feels unsettling. As the '80s cover band concludes their performance, Chaz, seemingly inebriated, announces that the next song is dedicated to his family. The band starts playing Africa by Toto, a nostalgic track recognized by Millie and Aubrey as their parents' favorites during childhood. A sudden revelation strikes Millie, prompting her to confront Chaz after the song ends, addressing him as Uncle Archer. Millie directly questions whether he was the one responsible for bringing her and her cousins to Gull Cove Island, unraveling another layer of the family's hidden history. The revelation sets the stage for potential answers and further exploration of the intricate family dynamics on the island. Analysis chapters 8 to 10. Throughout the narrative, the concept of greatness surrounds Adam's story, depicted as a charismatic, handsome, and athletic individual with untapped potential. Others believe that Adam held the seeds of greatness, with Dr. Baxter even suggesting that he could have changed everything if he had spoken up. The photograph of Aubrey's father and his poorly received winning painting becomes a symbolic representation of Adam's privilege, a testament to his delusions of superiority rooted in early accolades. Despite being mediocre at best, Adam perceives himself as untouchable and superior, impacting his family negatively. In contrast, Aubrey, initially non-confrontational, begins to discover her voice and stand up for herself, proving that the true seeds of greatness are within her, not her father. Jonah North's revelation unveils a unique grudge against Anders, illustrating understandable motives for seeking revenge. However, as Jonah grows closer to Millie and Aubrey, he grapples with the realization that they may be innocent bystanders undeserving of harm. This internal conflict raises questions about the morality of Jonah's pursuit of revenge, and whether harming innocent individuals aligns with his quest for justice. Chaz Jones's revelation as Uncle Archer introduces a recurring theme of false identity. Jonah and Archer, two characters who are not who they claim to be, contribute to the prevalent theme of deception on Gull Cove Island. This foreshadows the ultimate revelation that the woman posing as Mildred is not the true matriarch of the story lineage. The prevalence of false identities underscores the theme that appearances can be deceiving on Gull Cove Island, urging the story cousins to be hyper-vigilant about whom they trust. The narrative builds anticipation for the impending unveiling of hidden truths, adding layers of complexity to the evolving plot. Summary of Chapter 11. The story children confront their Uncle Archer, who initially claims to be nowhere near drunk enough for this conversation. However, under the encouragement of his old friend and bandmate, Rob Valentine, Archer finally divulges the truth. He admits to being the one who invited the children to the island. Archer recounts leaving the island years ago when his mother disowned him and his siblings. Upon discovering Edward's workplace, Archer, under the guise of Chaz Jones, decided to return to Gull Cove Island, hoping to reconnect with his elusive mother. However, realizing Mildred's rarity on the island, he shifted his focus to ensuring his nieces and nephews had an opportunity to meet and build a relationship with her. Archer emphasizes that he is indifferent to the money and being reinstated in his mother's will, surprising the cousins with a story that doesn't care about his lost fortune. He discloses an encounter with Dr. Baxter, who recognized him, raising concerns that his cover may have been exposed. Recently, Archer received a letter from Dr. Baxter, expressing a desire to meet and confessing that there are matters he should have disclosed to Archer long ago. The revelation deepens the intrigue surrounding the story's family history and sets the stage for potential revelations that could reshape the narrative. Summary of Chapter 12. Jonah North is awakened by a phone call from his father, who updates him on their family's bankruptcy court proceedings. The news reveals that they had to let go of one of their longest-serving employees to sustain their small business, Empire Billiards. Jonah is infuriated by this decision, particularly since the fired employee was someone he considered funny, loyal, and more like an uncle. The aftermath of Anders's disastrous financial advice continues to force Jonah's father into difficult choices. Millie arrives, presenting Jonah with a news article from the Gull Cove Gazette covering the previous night's concert. The headline reads, "The story continues. His estranged son Archer has been hiding in plain sight." Speculating about Archer's actions, they recall the day at Hazel's house when Dr. Baxter appeared to feign dementia to divert the conversation about the story's siblings. As Millie and Jonah banter, Jonah notices the profound impact of the family estrangement from Mildred on Millie. Attempting to console her, he emphasizes that Mildred has missed the opportunity to connect with them. Millie receives a text from Aubrey with startling news. Dr. Baxter was found dead that morning, drowned in a creek in the woods behind his house. The unexpected turn of events adds another layer of mystery and intrigue to the unfolding narrative. Summary of Chapter 13. Millie, Aubrey, and Jonah finally arrive at Catmint House for brunch with their elusive grandmother. The heavily guarded mansion is secluded from the rest of the island. The cousins discuss the upcoming funeral of Dr. Baxter, speculating on whether Uncle Archer had the chance to talk to him before his death. As they enter Catmint House, Teresa Ryan, Mildred's assistant, welcomes them and leads them inside. She cautions them that Mildred is deeply affected by Frank Baxter's death, and brunch might be cut short. Mildred, however, remains composed and distant throughout the meal. Millie observes her grandmother's selective attention, seemingly ignoring her while focusing on Aubrey and Jonah. Millie wonders if this indifference is due to racial bias, considering she is half Japanese, or if Mildred's concern is exclusively reserved for her sons. During a bathroom break, Millie decides to explore her mother's childhood home. While eavesdropping on Teresa's phone call, she learns that the conversation involved Donald and centered on Mildred's excessive attachment to her grandchildren. Teresa seems uncertain about how soon she can separate Mildred from the cousins, hinting at a morbid fascination Mildred has with them. Millie takes note of this suspicious exchange, and later discovers Teresa is talking to Donald. The unfolding events add a layer of intrigue and suspicion to the narrative. Analysis Chapters 11 to 13. The sudden death of Dr. Baxter becomes a focal point in the narrative as Archer's revelation about inviting the cousins unfolds. Dr. Baxter's demise is shrouded in suspicion, heightened by Teresa's cryptic comment to Donald that it was excessive. This hint suggests the possibility of foul play, adding a layer of mystery to the story family drama. The question arises regarding who might have a motive to silence Dr. Baxter, and for what reason. Millie's complex emotions toward Mildred are explored, revealing the deep-seated hurt and insecurity Millie harbors. The rejection or indifference she perceives from her grandmother triggers feelings of inadequacy, rooted in a long-standing fear that she will never meet the high standards set by the Story family. Millie's struggle with her sense of self-worth becomes a driving force in the narrative, impacting her relationships with family members, particularly Aubrey. The exploration of jealousy and insecurity adds psychological depth to the characters and their interactions. The bond between Archer and Aubrey is highlighted, offering a contrasting element to the family's dynamics. Aubrey's emotional response to Archer's acknowledgement of her achievements signifies a shared desire for recognition and acceptance within the family. McManus uses this relationship to emphasize that, amid the family's secrets and greed, there exists the potential for love, acceptance, and kindness among those willing to prioritize familial bonds over money and prestige. Summary of Chapter 14. The shopping excursion at Kayla's boutique provides a poignant moment for Aubrey and Millie as they prepare for the summer gala. The revelation that Una, the boutique owner, is the younger sister of Kayla Dugas, Anders' ex-girlfriend, adds another layer of connection between the Story family and the island's residents. Una's mention of Kayla's death, 24 years ago, aligns with the timing of the Story siblings' disinheritance, raising questions about a potential connection between the two events. Aubrey's reflection on Cuddy Beach and her father's novel adds an air of mystery, suggesting that something significant may have transpired at that location. Aubrey's internal struggle with self-esteem and body image is a relatable theme, highlighting the impact of external influences, such as her father and Thomas, on her perception of herself. The distorted self-image she sees in the mirror reflects the emotional weight she carries, and Una's determination to make her feel beautiful introduces a positive shift. Aubrey's decision to break free from the insecurity ingrained over the years signals a potential turning point for her character, adding depth to her journey. The scene captures both the external mysteries surrounding the family's past and the internal struggles each cousin faces, creating a nuanced exploration of identity, relationships, and self-perception. Summary of Chapter 15. The visit to the Gull Cove Island Library serves as a pivotal moment for the cousins as they delve into the island's history and the mysterious events surrounding their parents' disinheritance. Aubrey's revelation about Kayla's death, coinciding with the siblings' removal from Mildred's will, adds another layer of intrigue and reinforces the idea that there might be a connection between these events. The exploration of old news articles and the suspicions surrounding Dr. Baxter's behavior contribute to the growing tension and sense of mystery surrounding the Story family. Millie's emotional response to the notion that their parents could be involved in a crime suggests a deeper layer of vulnerability and insecurity. Her storming out of the library and defensive reaction highlight the complex dynamics within the family and the impact of Mildred's actions on the cousins' relationships. Aubrey's realization of Millie's feelings and regret for not noticing sooner adds an emotional depth to their bond, emphasizing the family's internal struggles. Jonah's observation about Mildred playing games and pitting people against each other introduces an element of manipulation and psychological complexity to Mildred's character. The cousins' encounter with Donald at the funeral further intertwines Mildred's influence in their lives, creating a sense of unease and anticipation for the unfolding events. The scene effectively builds suspense, emphasizing the internal conflicts among the cousins while unraveling the mysteries surrounding the Story family and Gull Cove Island. Summary of Chapter 16. The summer gala unfolds as a complex tapestry of emotions and events, weaving together the strained relationships among the cousins and the escalating tension within the Story family. Millie's internal struggle is palpable, torn between her resentment over brunch with Mildred and her longing for the coveted position of Mildred's favorite grandchild. This internal conflict heightens the emotional stakes, emphasizing the impact of Mildred's actions on the cousins' sense of identity and belonging within the family. The suspicions surrounding Dr. Baxter's death and Archer's mysterious disappearance add layers of intrigue, creating an atmosphere of uncertainty and anticipation. Millie's speculation about Archer's whereabouts further contributes to the sense of mystery surrounding the unfolding events. The romantic subplot between Millie and Jonah introduces a poignant element amid the family drama. Their budding connection, set against the backdrop of the glamorous gala, adds a layer of vulnerability to Millie's character. The unexpected revelation at the end of the scene, witnessed by partygoers, including Mildred, introduces a shocking twist that promises to have significant consequences for the family dynamics. The gala scene effectively builds on the novel's themes of family secrets, jealousy, and the desire for approval. The complex relationships among the characters are brought to the forefront, creating a compelling narrative that keeps readers engaged and invested in the unfolding drama. Analysis Chapters 14 to 16. The dual timelines and the intricate exploration of family dynamics and personal struggles add depth to the narrative. The stark contrast between the outward projection of perfection in the Story family and the internal conflicts faced by individual members, especially in moments of crisis, highlights the theme of appearances versus reality. Allison's internal turmoil reflects the generational impact of Mildred's expectations on her children. The emphasis on protecting the Story name, at any cost, underscores the pressure to maintain an illusion of flawlessness. This recurring theme of prioritizing reputation over genuine human connection weaves a thread through both timelines, emphasizing the enduring influence of Mildred's values on subsequent generations. In the present day, Millie and Aubrey grapple with their insecurities, offering a nuanced exploration of self-image and societal expectations. Millie's hurt, following her grandmother's neglect, and Aubrey's struggle with body image add layers of vulnerability to their characters. Una's role in helping Aubrey confront her insecurities introduces a positive and empowering element, suggesting the potential for personal growth and self-acceptance. The culmination of romantic tension between Jonah and Millie at the summer gala serves as a pivotal moment, not only for their relationship but also for the overarching plot. The public scandal surrounding their kiss introduces an element of external judgment, echoing the pervasive theme of societal expectations and the consequences of deviating from prescribed norms. The intricate interplay of characters' internal conflicts, family dynamics, and societal pressures creates a rich narrative tapestry that keeps readers engaged and invested in the characters' journeys. The exploration of the story family's complex history and the consequences of long-buried secrets contribute to the novel's suspenseful and emotionally resonant storytelling. Summary of Chapter 17. The revelation of Jonah's true identity and the subsequent confrontation at the summer gala adds a layer of complexity to the family dynamics. Mildred's harsh judgment of her grandchildren echoes her disappointment in their parents, emphasizing the cyclical nature of familial expectations and the weight of maintaining the Story family's reputation. Anders's attempt to paint Jonah as an imposter creates a chaotic scene, revealing the lengths to which family members are willing to go to protect their interests and preserve the family's image. The manipulation of truth and the shifting narratives underscore the novel's exploration of secrets and their consequences. Jonah's declaration about Anders's manipulative tendencies exposes a deeper layer of deception within the Story family. The revelation that Jonah is the son of one of Anders's victims adds a poignant twist to the narrative, highlighting the interconnectedness of the characters' lives and the far-reaching impact of past actions. Millie and Aubrey's sense of betrayal adds emotional depth to their characters. The realization that Jonah had kept this crucial information from them prompts questions about trust and motives. The complexity of the relationships within the Story family becomes more pronounced as secrets unravel and hidden connections come to light. Donald's decision to remove Anders, JT, and Jonah from the party further intensifies the conflict, signaling the rupture within the family. The fallout from the confrontation at the gala sets the stage for further exploration of the consequences of long-buried secrets and the challenges the characters face in reconciling their shared history. The scene at the summer gala serves as a turning point in the narrative, propelling the story forward with heightened tension and a clearer understanding of the characters' motivations and vulnerabilities. Summary of Chapter 18. The aftermath of the summer gala continues to unravel the intricate dynamics within the Story family. Jonah's expulsion from the resort, juxtaposed with JT and Anders facing similar consequences, highlights the collective fallout from the exposure of Archer's plan. The tension between Jonah and Anders underscores the deep-seated conflicts and the manipulation of information within the family. Anders's refusal to acknowledge his role in the situation and his attempt to deflect blame onto others epitomize the broader theme of denial and the family's reluctance to confront their shared history. This dynamic sets the stage for further exploration of accountability and the characters' willingness to face the consequences of their actions. Jonah's exchange with his father adds another layer to the narrative, revealing the contrasting fortunes within the North family. The juxtaposition of the story's wealth and influence with the North's financial struggles underscores the socioeconomic disparities at play. Archer's unexpected appearance and subsequent apology add complexity to his character. His acknowledgement of the negative impact of his actions on the kids reflects a sense of remorse and a recognition of the consequences of his choices. The revelation that he didn't get a chance to speak to Dr. Baxter further deepens the mystery surrounding the family's secrets. Jonah's plea to hide out with Archer suggests a vulnerability in his character, emphasizing the emotional toll of the events. Archer's reluctant agreement to this plan sets the stage for potential revelations and resolutions as the characters navigate the aftermath of the gala. The narrative continues to weave together the intricate threads of family relationships, secrets, and the characters' struggles, creating a compelling and suspenseful storyline. Summary of Chapter 19. The refusal of Millie and Aubrey to comply with Donald's orders adds a layer of defiance to the narrative, highlighting their determination to confront the family issues head-on. Donald's surprise at their decision underscores the impact of their defiance on the carefully orchestrated plans of the Story family. The revelation of Jonah hiding out with Uncle Archer introduces a new dynamic to the story, bringing together characters with shared experiences of family estrangement. Hazel's discovery of Dr. Baxter's letter adds an element of mystery, creating anticipation around the grave injustice done to Archer's story. The inclusion of Kayla's autopsy report deepens the intrigue and hints at long-buried secrets that may finally come to light. Archer's decision to show the autopsy report to Kayla's sister, Una, suggests a willingness to confront the past and seek resolution. The impending meeting between Archer and Una adds to the suspense, leaving readers eager to uncover the details of the grave injustice mentioned in Dr. Baxter's letter. Jonah's attempt to apologize to Millie reflects the ongoing emotional turbulence within the group. Millie's reluctance to forgive underscores the complexity of their relationship and the challenges they face in rebuilding trust. As the plot unfolds, the narrative continues to weave together themes of family secrets, betrayal, and the characters' journeys toward understanding and redemption. The discovery of the autopsy report and the upcoming meeting with Una promise to unravel long-standing mysteries, adding depth and intrigue to the evolving story. Analysis Chapters 17 to 19. Anders' arrival at the summer gala adds a layer of complexity to the narrative, revealing him as a character with a significant impact on the lives of others. His refusal to take responsibility for his actions aligns him with the broader theme of prioritizing family reputation over genuine care for family members. The parallel between Anders and Adam underscores the persistence of certain destructive family dynamics over the years. The lack of empathy displayed by Adam and Anders in 1996, as seen through their disregard for Allison's well-being in favor of preserving the family's reputation, highlights the toxic nature of their priorities. The consequences of their self-centered approach reverberate through the years, affecting not only their immediate family but also others like Jonah, whose life has been disrupted by Anders' financial decisions. The shifting dynamics and motivations after the summer gala contribute to the evolving character arcs. Jonah's realization that revenge is unsatisfying, and his desire to make amends signal a turning point in his character's development. The unexpected alliance with Archer, who provides support and care, introduces a positive influence amid the family's turmoil. The unraveling of the story surrounding Kayla's death introduces suspense and mystery, creating anticipation for the revelations that may come to light. McManus skillfully weaves seemingly unrelated details into a cohesive narrative, inviting readers to piece together the puzzle alongside the characters. Archer's emergence as an admirable adult challenges the legacy of Adam and Anders, highlighting the irony that he, despite his struggles, embodies the true meaning of family first, always. This irony serves as a commentary on the misguided priorities of the older stories and offers a glimpse of hope through Archer's understanding of familial bonds. As the narrative unfolds, the exploration of family dynamics, secrets, and redemption remains central, providing a rich tapestry of interconnected stories and characters. Summary of Chapter 20. The aftermath of the summer gala brings about a complex web of emotions and revelations for Millie, Jonah, and Aubrey. Millie's continued distance from Jonah reflects the deep hurt she feels due to his deception. The breach of trust has left a significant impact on their relationship, and Millie struggles to move past the betrayal. This emotional aftermath adds layers to the character dynamics, showcasing the complexities of forgiveness and rebuilding trust within the Story family. Aubrey's understanding of Jonah's perspective highlights her empathetic nature and nuanced relationship approach. Unlike Millie, Aubrey sees beyond Jonah's deception, recognizing the layers of his situation and understanding that he may not be inherently malicious. This divergence in the cousins' reactions adds depth to their character arcs. Aubrey's personal life takes unexpected turns as well, with news of her swim coach's pregnancy prompting her to promise support to her mother. The decision to finally break up with Thomas, fueled by an unexpected phone call, marks a significant moment of change for Aubrey. These personal developments contribute to her growth as an individual, showcasing her willingness to confront challenges head-on. The scene at Catmint House underscores Mildred's controlling nature and her selective treatment of her grandchildren. Millie's exclusion from the invitation and Mildred's emphasis on severed ties with her children highlight the family's strained relationships. Aubrey's realization that Mildred's contact was not driven by affection, but a desire for control, adds a layer of tension to their interactions. Aubrey's inquiry about Kayla's death disrupts Mildred, unveiling a hidden layer of discomfort or guilt. The accidental spill and Mildred's visible disturbance suggest that there might be more to the story than what has been revealed so far. This subplot adds an element of mystery and suspense, leaving readers intrigued about the untold secrets within the Story family. Aubrey's decision to leave Catmint House, taking a key card for the gate on her way out, symbolizes her growing independence and the beginning of a new chapter in her life. The key card becomes a tangible representation of her agency and the potential for uncovering hidden truths. This sets the stage for further exploration of the family's secrets and the individual journeys of the cousins. Summary of Chapter 21. In this scenario, the youngsters, accompanied by Una, scrutinize the post-mortem examination findings concerning Kayla, as documented by Dr. Baxter. Their examination reveals the presence of lorazepam, a sedative in Kayla's system. This finding diverges from the information provided to Una's family 24 years ago. Millie puts forth the hypothesis that someone may have administered the drugs to Kayla, and Dr. Baxter concealed this fact. Una recollects Kayla expressing the need to converse with Mrs. Ryan Teresa after she visits Anders at Harvard during one Thanksgiving. Furthermore, Una discloses that Kayla was romantically involved with Teresa's late son, Matt, who allegedly met his demise the year preceding Kayla's passing, purportedly due to an accidental drowning at Cuddy Beach. Una now grapples with a sense of remorse for chastising her sister about excessive drinking, considering the possibility that someone might have surreptitiously drugged Kayla. Summary of Chapter 22. After the barbecue, Millie and Aubrey opt to spend the night at Archer's residence. They openly acknowledge that the impending separation will be accompanied by a sense of longing. Jonah expresses a desire to join them, and Millie, having let go of any lingering resentment, agrees. Aubrey discloses the pilfered keycard from Catmint House, but confesses to having no concrete plan for its use. The trio reflects on the recurrent involvement of Anders and Teresa in the unfolding narrative. Jonah raises the possibility that Teresa and Mildred might have a connection to Kayla's demise. Aubrey retires for the night, leaving Jonah and Millie to engage in flirtatious banter and reminisce. Jonah expresses remorse for not informing Millie about his intention to confront Anders. Millie decides it's time to extend forgiveness to Jonah, and they rekindle the connection they shared on the night of the gala. Summary of Chapter 23. Unable to find rest, Aubrey resolves to call her father. She vents her frustration at his infidelity with her swim coach, urging him to apologize calmly. However, he refuses, asserting that she fails to grasp the complexities of the situation and justifying his actions. Aubrey then redirects the conversation to the tragic fates of Matt and Kayla, catching her father off guard. He insists she ceases discussing their deaths and denies any wrongdoing toward Mildred, but Aubrey remains convinced of his dishonesty. The following morning brings a sudden revelation for Aubrey. Recalling the day she accidentally spilled hot coffee on her grandmother's hands, compelling her to remove her gloves, Aubrey vividly remembers the absence of the distinctive port wine birthmark on her grandmother's hand. Despite her phone dying, Aubrey resolves to clandestinely enter Catmint House, determined to find evidence substantiating her suspicions. Analysis chapters 20 to 23. Aubrey, who has consistently identified herself as conflict-averse, struggled to assert herself due to her father's critical remarks about her lack of proactivity. Over the years, she learned to endure his controlling behavior by remaining silent. Even Mildred recognized Aubrey as the easiest of her grandchildren to influence, insisting on meeting with her instead of Millie. However, Aubrey reaches a breaking point, undergoing a profound transformation during her time on Gull Cove Island. She defies her usual passivity, breaking up with her boyfriend, challenging Mildred's expectations by covertly obtaining a keycard, and confronting her father, insisting he admit his wrongdoing and apologize. Aubrey's newfound boldness becomes a pivotal force, propelling the plot into the concluding chapters of the story family mystery. Chapters 21 and 22 delve into the theme of forgiveness. Archer encourages Una to forgive herself for past failures in assisting her sister. Aubrey offers forgiveness to her father, conditioned on his acknowledgement of wrongdoing, but he fails to do so, straining their relationship. Millie grapples with forgiving Jonah for withholding information. Despite her lifelong struggles with feelings of inadequacy, Millie realizes that Jonah values and accepts her as she is. Their mutual acceptance and responsibility for their actions at the summer gala break down the final barriers that kept them apart. Archer suggests the need for more forgiveness within the story family, prompting Millie to embrace this notion rather than clinging to old hopes of being good enough for her mother or Mildred. As the novel hurtles toward its dramatic conclusion, Mildred, or the imposter who has assumed her identity for over 2 decades, senses that her web of lies is unraveling. At the summer gala, when Anders uses the term imposter, Mildred displays panic and flees. Initially thought to be a reaction to her estranged son, Aubrey's revelation in Chapter 23 exposes that Mildred feared exposure for impersonating a woman deceased for over 20 years. The imposter is cornered, and thanks to Aubrey, the facade will finally crumble. Summary of Chapter 24. The following morning, Archer, Millie, and Jonah gather for breakfast, with Aubrey's whereabouts unknown. Archer receives a text message from her stating there wasn't a birthmark. Hazel arrives, bearing another unusual document from Dr. Baxter's belongings, a medical report for Mildred. Shockingly, Mildred had been diagnosed with hypertrophic cardiomyopathy, the same fatal condition that claimed her husband's life. Archer marvels at how long his mother lived with this condition, but Millie introduces a chilling notion. What if Kayla and Dr. Baxter weren't the only people who died? Millie points to changes in Mildred and Teresa's behavior and interests over the years. Mildred, once having terrible taste in art, now has refined preferences. Teresa, who was once an avid baseball fan, claimed to no longer watch the sport. Aubrey's cryptic text about Mildred's birthmark raises suspicions. Millie suggests that the woman in Catmint House isn't Mildred. Mildred likely succumbed to her fatal heart condition years ago. Archer vehemently denies this, asserting that people would know if his mother were dead. Millie counters that only those in Mildred's inner circle, namely Teresa and Donald, regularly see her. Hazel discloses that her grandfather came into a substantial amount of money 24 years ago, implying a possible payoff to conceal Mildred's death. They realize Aubrey must have gone to Catmint House to confirm what she saw, prompting Archer to rush off in search of her. Summary of Chapter 25. Aubrey sneaks into Catmint House and ends up in her father's old bedroom. Mildred, who reveals herself to be the real Teresa, appears in the doorway, wielding a pistol. She muses that she took everything she could from Adam, and for all these years it's never felt like enough. Maybe taking his only child would be. Archer storms the house in an attempt to rescue Aubrey, and Teresa reveals the whole story as she holds them both at gunpoint. Back in the summer of 1996, Anders and Adam tricked a drunk Matt into getting into the water at Cuddy Beach by telling him that Kayla was sucked into the undertow. Matt drowned, and Allison sounded the alarm but ultimately covered for her brothers. Kayla found out, but after she told Teresa, Donald drugged Kayla and killed her to silence her. After the real Mildred died of natural causes 24 years ago, Teresa and Donald devised a plan to keep the story children from their family fortune. Teresa posed as Mildred, cutting off her children, so no one would ever find out that the real Mildred was dead. Archer realizes that if Donald killed Kayla to keep her quiet, he must have killed Dr. Baxter too. Aubrey and Teresa fight for the gun, and it goes off, shooting Teresa in the leg. Teresa's assistant sets fire to the house, and Aubrey and Archer barely manage to escape. Archer goes back to help Teresa, but she is dead by the time he gets her to safety. Summary of Chapter 26. In the aftermath of the fire, Catmint House lies in ruins, with Aubrey and Archer sustaining minor injuries. Teresa's cause of death is attributed to smoke inhalation, and her assistant, responsible for starting the fire, is missing. Donald, lacking a head start, is promptly arrested. The media's scrutiny intensifies as Kayla's posthumous allegations surface, casting Anders and Adam in a negative light, leading to public condemnation. Adam's book briefly ascends to the bestseller list amid the controversy. Aubrey decides to reside with her mother, rejoining the swim team under new coaching. Millie opts to stay with her father and stepmother, while her mother takes on the role of a liaison amid the chaos of police, medical examiners, reporters, and lawyers attempting to unravel decades of deception. Millie and Jonah plan to continue their relationship, despite the geographical distance. Millie's mother confesses her guilt for the events surrounding Matt and Kayla, and begins to grapple with the trauma of the summer of 1996, acknowledging its lasting impact on her relationships. Expressing admiration for Millie's investigative prowess, her mother commends her sharp mind and good heart. Meanwhile, Archer receives a call from an associate at Donald's office, revealing that Teresa and Donald allowed insurance policies to lapse on all properties, including the now-destroyed Catmint House, and exhausted every last penny of the Story estate. Summary of the epilogue. 5 months later, Jonah and Millie remain a couple, and she is visiting him in Rhode Island. Empire Billiards, Jonah's family business, thrives, and Aubrey delights in her newfound role as a loving older sister to her new half-brother. Aubrey's father and former swim coach navigate a strained relationship, leading to a Story sibling showdown over the remnants of the Story family estate. Archer, grappling with his challenges, seeks solace in rehab. Adam's book experiences a decline in sales, while Anders embarks on a new financial venture. Despite the passage of time, Jonah continues to wonder about the fate of Teresa's assistant, Paula, who set fire to Catmint House and mysteriously disappeared. The cousins, bound by the peculiar summer they endured together, maintain regular contact. During a FaceTime session with Jonah, Millie, and Aubrey, Jonah receives a postcard from Paula, warning him to keep his parents far away from Anders's new venture, suspecting it will go up in flames. The postcard adds a new layer of intrigue to their already complex shared history. Analysis Chapters 24 Epilogue. The novel's gripping climax finally assembles the puzzle pieces. Teresa, who devoted her entire life to the Story family, had her child taken from her by Anders and Adam. Teresa's overwhelming desire for revenge consumed her, and while her actions were reprehensible, her mental breakdown became somewhat comprehensible. Teresa emerges as a deeply flawed human villain, in contrast to Donald, who is depicted as irredeemably and inexcusably evil for his actions against the Story children and Kayla. The cousin serves as a cautionary tale about revenge. Jonah's pursuit of vengeance against Anders results in shattered friendships. Adam and Anders seek revenge against Matt, which leads to the premature end of a young life. Teresa's quest for vengeance over her son's death harms innocent individuals like Kayla and Archer in the process. The narrative depicts the revenge cycle spiraling out of control, highlighting the destructive power of revenge and its capacity to ruin innocent lives. Archer's words resonate as truth. The Story family requires more forgiveness, and had forgiveness prevailed in the summer of 1996, the tragic events in the cousins might never have unfolded. In the confrontation with Teresa, Archer assumes the role of a protective father toward Aubrey, a sentiment she had never experienced from her own father. Aubrey has grown to love her uncle as a father figure, and his willingness to shoulder the consequences of his brother's actions sets him apart from the other Story siblings. Even at the risk of his safety, Archer aids Teresa in her escape, showcasing heroism and compassion, qualities neither Adam nor Anders had displayed. Characters. Millie Story Takahashi. Millie, a privileged 17-year-old attending a Manhattan prep school, stands as one of the three narrators and protagonists. Her full name, Mildred, is a nod to her grandmother, yet Millie believes it was chosen to appease her own mother, questioning why she'd burden a girl in the 21st century with a name like Mildred. Millie's Japanese father, from whom her mother is divorced, adds cultural diversity to her background. Described by Jonah as drop-dead gorgeous with dark hair, eyes, and a smirk that's not annoying but intriguing, Millie's beauty, fashion sense, and intellect impress Aubrey, who acknowledges Millie's ability to stay 3 steps ahead in connecting information. Despite external perceptions, Millie struggles with self-esteem. Feeling perpetually inadequate for her mother, she's self-conscious about her academic standing at the elite prep school. Her mother's constant correction of her grammar, lack of physical affection, and absence of praise contribute to Millie's persistent sense of not measuring up to the Story family's standards. Seeking attention and approval, she frequents bars to garner attention from strangers. Her friendship with Aubrey blossoms through shared family struggles. Both feel the weight of parental expectations, realizing they can be more than their parents envisioned. Initially, Millie's relationship with Jonah is unconventional, but when it's revealed they aren't related, Millie opens up about her insecurities. Jonah, enchanted by Millie, fails to comprehend her need for parental approval. In his eyes, Millie is perfect as she is, irrespective of Mildred's or Allison's opinions. Through their connection, Jonah becomes instrumental in helping Millie embrace self-love, irrespective of her family's expectations. Aubrey. Aubrey, a high school swimming star from Oregon, stands as one of the 3 narrators and protagonists, the daughter of Adam's Story. Describing herself as blonde, freckled, and athletic, Aubrey's physical features, apart from a shared port wine birthmark with her grandmother, set her apart from the rest of the Story family. She has never felt delicate, beautiful, or elegant like her father or grandmother, and her life has been dedicated to pleasing her proud and arrogant father. Consumed by anger toward her coach and father, the figure she admired most, Aubrey begins to question her lifelong adoration for her father, embarrassed by the realization of how blindly she worshipped him. Despite her inner turmoil, she categorizes herself as the girl least likely to cause a scene about anything ever, avoiding confrontation. Seeking a sense of belonging, Aubrey has been part of a team throughout her life. Learning about the affair between her swim coach and father forces her to quit the team, leaving her with a profound sense of loneliness. She clings to a mediocre boyfriend for stability and familiarity, as Jonah observes that Aubrey craves acknowledgement in the Story family, having been starved of her father's approval. Despite her struggles, Aubrey's exceptional kindness and innocence capture the attention of her cousins. Jonah notes the friendliness and honesty in her face, stating that being sarcastic to Aubrey would be like kicking a puppy. Archer, unlike Adam, provides Aubrey with fatherly love and concern. Expressing pride in her hard work on the swim team, he stands by her in the final confrontation with Teresa. With the love and support of her cousins and uncle, Aubrey undergoes personal growth, learning to love herself outside the confines of her father's expectations. Jonah North. Jonah, one of the 3 narrators and protagonists, initially presents himself as Millie and Aubrey's cousin, the son of Anders' Story. However, it is revealed that Jonah North is the son of one of Anders' victims, driven by a mission to avenge his family. Millie detects something amiss about Jonah from the start. Despite attempting to emulate his supposed cousin's obnoxious mannerisms, Jonah cannot sustain the act. Eventually, Millie uncovers the truth. Jonah is not her cousin, and he was bribed by JT to take his place on Gull Cove Island for the summer. To Millie's knowledge, that's the extent of the story, as Jonah withholds his true motive for coming to Gull Cove Island. Described as lacking the analytical, academic tone of Jonah's story, Jonah is deemed annoying in his own way, with a noticeable bad attitude and a chip on his shoulder. His anger is justified. He lost his entire college fund due to his parents' deal with Anders, bringing his family to the brink of financial ruin. Jonah questions why Anders should reconnect with his wealthy mother and inherit the Story family estate after causing harm to so many lives. During the summer gala, Jonah seizes the opportunity to attack Anders's character, likening him to a manipulator, much like he was with Jonah's parents. Despite achieving a semblance of revenge, Jonah regrets hurting Aubrey and Millie, acknowledging that his bitterness took over in a moment of humiliation and stress. Reflecting on his family's bankruptcy proceedings and legal advice, Jonah understands that being angry with Anders won't undo the damage. Realizing that his anger and thirst for revenge are consuming his life, Jonah resolves to let go of the past and move forward with his family as they rebuild. With Millie by his side, he envisions a hopeful future, embracing the support of his new friends on Gull Cove Island and leaving his bitterness behind. Mildred Margaret. Mildred Story, the widow of Abraham Story, and the mother of Adam, Anders, Allison, and Archer, plays a complex role in the family dynamic. Described by Millie as a figure that loomed large over her childhood, more like a fairy tale character than a real person, Mildred's true identity remains shrouded in mystery. 2 years after Abraham's death, Mildred inexplicably disowns all of her children, leading to their estrangement from Gull Cove Island and each other. The Story children, unaware of the reason behind their mother's disinheritance, believe she is cold, capricious, and possibly even crazy. Through bizarre encounters with someone claiming to be Mildred on Gull Cove Island and Allison's recollections of the summer of 1996, a clearer image of Mildred emerges, highlighting both who she was and who she was not. Allison's memories portray Mildred as an unnatural hostess, relying on her husband's outgoing nature to navigate social gatherings. She is depicted as uptight, shy, and somewhat lacking in social skills, despite her familiarity with proper society. Allison describes her as fussy, self-conscious, and particularly fond of her older sons Adam and Anders. During a brunch with Mildred, Jonah observes her focused interest in Adam and Anders, reinforcing rumors of Mildred's favoritism. The circumstances of Mildred cutting off her children appear unusual, prompting questions about her seemingly ruthless actions. Carson, an employee, attests to Mildred's kindness toward others in town, raising doubts about her harsh treatment of her own children. Throughout the novel, Mildred is painted as a villain, but as the story unfolds, Millie reveals that Mildred is not a villain but a woman who was taken from her children without a chance to say goodbye. The revelation of Mildred being used as a pawn in Teresa and Donald's wrongdoings provides bittersweet comfort to her grieving family. In the end, the Story family, including Mildred's heartbroken and confused children, must reassess the woman they believed hated them for the past 24 years and embark on the journey of healing. Themes. Wealthy families. Similar to McManus's other acclaimed works, The Cousins revolves around the potent influence of secrets. Woven intricately into the plot, these secrets propel the mystery surrounding the Story family. McManus artfully employs secrets to illustrate how they can drive individuals apart, yet paradoxically, serve as a force that brings people together in unforeseen ways. From the outset, Millie observes that the entire family is built on secrets, dubbing it the Story legacy. This realization prompts her to encourage Jonah and Aubrey to divulge their secrets. Although initially met with denials, Jonah's masquerade and Aubrey's concealed guilt gradually surface. As the truth emerges, the teenagers find themselves opening up, fostering trust, and undergoing personal growth. The narrative highlights the transformative impact of honesty and the liberation that comes with releasing the shackles of the past. Abraham's mantra, family first, always, compels Allison to withhold the secret of her pregnancy from her mother. The belief that concealing shameful behavior is crucial for protecting the story leads her to justify covering up the truth of her brother's actions toward Matt. In this context, secrecy not only drives a wedge between Allison and her loved ones, but also endangers innocent lives, triggering a ripple effect of revenge and fraud lasting over 2 decades. Allison grapples with guilt, and her relationships suffer, straining her marriage and nearly breaking her bond with her daughter. When Millie proposes confronting Mildred about the truth of the disinheritance, Donald urges her to leave the past undisturbed, emphasizing the potential losses from reopening old wounds. Despite Donald's attempts to dissuade Millie, she recognizes the power of exposing uncomfortable secrets to light. While secrets inherently possess influence, their power is contingent on whether individuals allow them to wield control. For Donald, whose power and wealth hinge on these secrets, the revelation threatens to strip him of his influence over the Story family and their estate. In The Cousins, McManus masterfully explores the complex interplay of secrets, demonstrating how their revelation can be both a catalyst for connection and a disruptor of established power dynamics within a family. Feeling inadequate and family expectations. While the Story family may be a creation of fiction, the themes of high expectations and familial dysfunction are rooted in the realities of upper-class family dynamics. McManus skillfully delves into the notion that elevated expectations, when combined with low self-esteem and a fear of vulnerability, can lead individuals to experience mental and emotional distress, fostering feelings of alienation. Millie provides insight into the upbringing of her mother and uncles, describing a life where they rode horses and attended black-tie parties like they were the princess and princes of Gull Cove Island. The language employed, such as princess and princes, transports readers to a world reminiscent of a fairy tale, where great titles and wealth are accompanied by the expectation of behaving as royalty. This expectation extends to always exhibiting strength, virtue, and superior morality, with any shortcomings risking public disgrace, a consequence deemed unacceptable for the family's centuries-old name. The oppressive nature of family expectations is exemplified through Allison's experiences during the summer of 1996. Her reluctance to disclose her pregnancy to her mother underscores a perpetual struggle to earn approval, driven by a fear of disappointment. The dialogue among her brothers reveals a disregard for her well-being, emphasizing their sole concern for the family name. Adam's comment about Mildred potentially sharing a bastard grandchild with her assistant exposes a dark underbelly of pride and contempt, subverting Abraham's mantra of family first, always, by revealing a toxic mix of superiority and disdain for others. Allison's enduring sense of inadequacy has not escaped her daughter's notice. Millie observes that her mother resides at the edge of a Mildred story-shaped hole, having pushed away those she loves, including Archer, her husband, and her own daughter, believing she never met her mother's standards. Allison's attempt to replicate the same relationship dynamics with her daughter results in resentment from Millie, who rejects the constant scrutiny. For Allison, the damage inflicted by her mother's expectations reverberates throughout her life, and Millie strives to avoid falling into the same emotional trap. Ultimately, there is a glimmer of hope for their relationship as Allison acknowledges Millie's sharp mind and good heart, expressing pride in her daughter. After years of feeling alone and unworthy, Allison begins to recognize the positive qualities within her daughter and, by extension, herself. Lack of accountability. The Story family unfolds as a tale of division, with members falling into two distinct camps: those willing to take responsibility for their actions and those who evade accountability. Allison and Archer, facing self-imposed punishment following their mother's disinheritance, turned inward to reflect on their perceived wrongs that might have triggered their mother's anger. On the other hand, Adam and Anders adamantly asserted that they had done nothing to deserve such treatment. McManus employs the Story siblings to underscore how the refusal to acknowledge one's actions can perpetuate a legacy of pain and misery. Aubrey's revelation about her father's infidelity prompts her astonishment at his detached attitude, treating it as if something happened to our family instead of something he caused. Despite prompting him to apologize, her father dismisses the request, arguing that she cannot grasp the complexity of the situation. Apologizing for such an action might seem like the bare minimum, yet Adam's lifelong belief in his infallibility leads to the ruin of his marriage and relationship with his daughter. His refusal to change or take responsibility perpetuates the cycle of pain. Anders, directly responsible for misleading Jonah North's parents into poor financial decisions, steadfastly denies his role in the deal, insisting that Jonah's parents are responsible adults. This irony is not lost on Jonah, who eventually acknowledges that despite his dislike for Anders, there is some truth in his words. The family lawyer suggests that while they cannot undo the past, they can dig themselves out and move on. Jonah learns that accepting blame doesn't equate to self-torment. Rather, being accountable provides the power to progress and gain wisdom. While individuals like Jonah and his parents choose to learn from their mistakes, Anders and Adam's refusal to acknowledge their errors perpetuates a state of perpetual misery for themselves and those around them. Deception and disguises. The Cousins explores the theme of disguise and its consequences through the characters of Jonah North, Archer Story, and Teresa Ryan. While Archer's disguise is more about creating a fictional character for himself, Jonah and Teresa employ disguises with malicious intentions, revealing McManus's exploration of the notion that disguises used for personal gain often lead to negative outcomes. Jonah's disguise serves a dual purpose. Initially presenting himself as a classmate of JT, he later discloses his true intentions to seek revenge against Anders. His plan is to embarrass Anders in front of Mildred, intending to permanently alienate him from his wealthy mother. However, the unintended consequence is the hurt felt by Millie, who realizes that Jonah's revenge fantasy has adversely affected the people he grew close to over the summer. Jonah's disguise, driven by a desire for revenge, backfires and causes collateral damage to the relationships he built. Teresa's decision to assume the identity of Mildred Story is fueled by a combination of opportunity and a desire for revenge. Aware of the Story children's involvement in her son's death and the subsequent cover-up, Teresa disowns all of them by adopting Mildred's identity. In doing so, she inadvertently punishes individuals like Archer, who played a relatively innocent role. The Story grandchildren, innocent in their own right, also bear the consequences of the estrangement in their relationships with their parents. Teresa's disguise, akin to Jonah's, harms innocent individuals and fails to undo the past damage. In both cases, McManus illustrates the destructive nature of disguises used as instruments of revenge. The pursuit of personal gain through deception leads to unintended consequences, impacting not only the intended targets but also innocent bystanders, highlighting the theme of disguise and its repercussions in the narrative. Mildred's accusation. The letter sent by Mildred's lawyer, bearing the cryptic message, "You know what you did," serves as a multifaceted symbol throughout the narrative, evolving in meaning as the story unfolds. Initially, the letter introduces an air of mystery surrounding the Story's siblings. Adam and Anders vehemently deny any wrongdoing, with Adam insisting that there's nothing they did to warrant such severe treatment. Allison, while acknowledging the reduced frequency of their visits, views Mildred's drastic decision as an extreme response. In this context, the letter symbolizes the central enigma of the novel, the undisclosed actions of the Story siblings and the question of their innocence. It becomes a harbinger of the truth that the Story grandchildren are determined to uncover. As the revelation of Matt's death comes to light, the letter takes on a new significance. It is disclosed that the real Mildred never sent such a letter, and instead, Teresa, aware of the Story children's culpability in her son's death, orchestrated its delivery with Donald's help. At this juncture, the letter transforms into a symbol of the Story children's guilt, particularly Adam, Anders, and Allison's involvement in Matt's demise and the subsequent cover-up. The siblings' adamant denial of any wrongdoing may be attributed to either their refusal to accept responsibility or a detachment from reality. In their minds, Mildred was not the victim of their actions, making her letter incomprehensible to them. Nevertheless, the weight of guilt lingers, and while Allison grapples with its torment, Adam and Anders seem genuinely convinced of their innocence. Despite their protests, the letter becomes emblematic of the indelible guilt that shadows them, a truth they cannot escape. In essence, the letter is a powerful narrative device, symbolizing the undisclosed truth, the guilt of the Story siblings, and the complex dynamics that unravel as the novel progresses. Precious possessions. Millie's fixation on two significant pieces of jewelry, her mother's diamond necklace and her grandfather Abraham's broken watch, serves as a poignant reflection of her complex relationship with her family, particularly her mother Allison and her grandmother Mildred. The diamond necklace, an heirloom from Mildred, represents more than just an accessory to Millie. In her eyes, it symbolizes her mother's approval and unconditional love. Millie yearns for this symbol of acceptance, but Allison's reluctance to pass it on becomes a tangible manifestation of Millie's perceived unworthiness of a Story family heirloom. The necklace, in Millie's mind, is not just about possession, but about the emotional connection it signifies. When Allison suggests giving her the necklace as a thank you gesture, Millie expresses a deeper desire for her mother to want to give it to her without any strings attached. It becomes a powerful metaphor for Millie's quest for maternal love and approval. Conversely, the broken watch that once belonged to her grandfather Abraham holds its own significance. Millie wears it despite its non-functionality, and to Jonah's confusion, she carries this seemingly impractical item daily. The watch, inscribed with "Love Conquers All," represents Mildred's love for her family. Millie sees it as a reminder of Mildred's love for her mother, and by extension, for her. However, the weight of the watch also signifies the burden Millie carries due to Mildred's mistreatment of her mother. The broken watch becomes a metaphor for the fractured relationships within the Story family. As the narrative progresses, Millie undergoes a transformative journey. Initially motivated by the hope of earning her mother's necklace, she eventually sheds both pieces of jewelry by the story's end. The decision to relinquish these items is symbolic of Millie's evolving perspective. She realizes that the pursuit of family approval and legacy is a heavy burden. The discarded jewelry signifies Millie's choice to find her own value and identity, independent of the expectations and legacy of the Story family. In essence, Millie's journey with these symbolic pieces of jewelry encapsulates the themes of familial approval, unconditional love, and liberation from the weight of family expectations. Catmint House and Gull Cove Island. The carefully chosen locations in The Cousins serve as powerful symbols, each carrying distinct meanings related to the story's family legacy, individual characters, and the overarching themes of the novel. Gull Cove Island, the primary setting, holds dual significance. On one hand, it represents the Story family legacy as it was transformed into a lucrative tourist destination by Abraham Story. Despite being described as flat and unremarkable, Gull Cove Island becomes a metaphor for the family's ability to turn something seemingly ordinary into a success. However, the island also serves as a metaphor for the family's facade. Like the island being presented as more remote and rugged than it truly is, the Story family, particularly Adam's perspective, projects an image of uniqueness and glamour while concealing their deep-seated flaws and secrets. Gull Cove Island becomes a visual representation of the contrast between the outward appearance and the hidden reality of the Story family. Catmint House, the family home, becomes synonymous with Mildred. It mirrors her elegance and beauty, but is also closed off from the world. The tall gates and stone walls symbolize the barriers Mildred erected to keep her family at a distance, a reflection of her decision to disown her children. The house, like Mildred herself, becomes inaccessible without going through specific channels, reinforcing the isolation she imposed on her family. The destruction of Catmint House by Teresa and her accomplice represents the tangible loss of Mildred. The house's demise echoes the demise of Mildred's legacy, family, and the concept of home for the Story children. The unbroken stretch of sky where the house used to stand symbolizes the void left by Mildred's absence. In essence, Gull Cove Island and Catmint House become more than mere settings. They evolve into visual metaphors that enrich the narrative, embodying the complex dynamics, illusions, and losses within the Story family. The careful crafting of these locations enhances the novel's exploration of family secrets, legacies, and the impact of past actions on the present. Port Wine Birthmarks. Aubrey's desire to align herself more closely with the Story family, and her fascination with the glamour associated with the Story name, are pivotal aspects of her character development in the narrative. Her yearning to be recognized as a true story, despite lacking the physical resemblance, reflects the deep impact of family expectations and the importance attached to the family's legacy. Aubrey's perception of the stories as delicate hothouse flowers contrasts with her view of herself and her mother as sturdy weeds. This metaphor underscores the perceived fragility and refinement of the Story family, reinforcing the elevated status Aubrey associates with the name. Her desire to assimilate into this image reveals the extent to which family identity and societal expectations shape her self-perception. The symbolism of the port wine birthmark further highlights Aubrey's connection to the Story lineage. The birthmark serves as a tangible link, a tiny thread of commonality that connects her to her grandmother. This birthmark becomes a symbol of her identity as a Story, a visible reminder of her familial ties. However, the revelation that Mildred lacks the birthmark becomes a turning point in the narrative. Aubrey's keen observation skills, particularly noticing the absence of this distinctive feature, expose the imposter. The overturned pot of coffee becomes a serendipitous event, unraveling Teresa's deceptive plan and preventing her from completely assuming Mildred's identity. Aubrey's journey in the story reflects the complexities of familial expectations, identity, and the impact of deception. The symbolism of the birthmark becomes a crucial element in unraveling the mystery, showcasing how even the smallest details can carry significant meaning within the intricate dynamics of family relationships. We hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. If so, we would appreciate you writing a review. Thanks for your purchase. CB Publishers.